Hello, my name is Skylar Brown. Here is my audience. And again, my name is Skylar Brown, and this evening my speech is going to be about abortion. Now, I know abortion can be a very uncomfortable topic to talk about. It has a lot of diverse opinions, and usually a conversation can end in an awkward silence or a bit of disagreement. But this speech is not about trying to persuade or make a certain part known better than the other. It's about getting a better understanding and creating a more comfortable environment around the topic itself. And to get that, the three important elements that are needed to understand the idea of abortion is what exactly an abortion is, the laws that are for and against an abortion in America, and the long-term physical and mental effects that it has on women. Now to begin, what is an abortion? I'm sure we all know that the general understanding of abortion is a procedure done to end a pregnancy. The most standard definition of an abortion is a medical procedure that uses medicine or surgery to remove an embryo or fetus from a uterus, which in turn ends the pregnancy. This information can be found on medlineplus.com. There are three different types of abortion procedures that are in place. The first one is referred to as the abortion pill. It is actually a combination of two pills. The first one is taken, it's called mifeprostone, and this pill will use a hormone blocker that prevents the pregnancy from continuing on. And then the second pill is taken within 48 hours, so anytime between that period of time, and it is a pill called mifepristone. And this pill is a pill that induces cramping, bleeding, and in turn removes out everything in the uterus, which will in turn end the pregnancy. This type of abortion is really only common between whenever a woman finds out they're pregnant to about 11 weeks into the pregnancy. So it's really for early term abortions. It's not a super common type, but it definitely is a type of an abortion that you can see in earlier pregnancies. The second type of abortion, which is the most common type of an abortion, is what's called as a suction abortion, referred to as a suction abortion. Again, this is the most common type you'll hear of, and it begins about a day to a couple of hours before the actual surgery. Most times they will induce or they will insert a dilator, which is usually called a laminaria, and this will absorb fluid and it will sit in your cervix and it'll dilate your cervix for you, so they don't have to do it at the time of the procedure. Again, this doesn't happen every time, but it's common. So whenever you're in the room of the procedure itself takes about 5 to 10 minutes long and is usually pretty painless. They will first look at your uterus, your vagina, your cervix to make sure everything is looking good and that it's all good to go. Next, they will inject a numbing type of medicine so you really aren't feeling much. If they haven't already done in the beginning the luminaria, they will then dilate your cervix for you. They will insert a thin tube into your vagina, and they will use either a handheld or mechanical suction device to suction out the embryo. And then afterwards, they will use a medical device called a curette, which will in turn clear out any leftover substance that could be remaining to really ensure the procedure has gone accordingly. This procedure, as I said, will take about 5 to 10 minutes long and is one of the most common types. This will happen in time between 11 and about 24 weeks of pregnancy. The third type of an abortion is referred to as a dialect and evacuation, or more commonly known as a D&E abortion. This abortion is a little bit longer. It takes about 10 to 20 minutes of a procedure, and it's not very common, as I mentioned. It's really for later term abortions, about 24 to 28 weeks and on. You don't see them very often, but what happens, it's very similar to the suction abortion. It just includes a little bit more medical devices to ensure that everything is going smoothly and everything is properly removed, so the procedure goes accordingly. Like I said, this is not a very common abortion, but it is something that you will see and that you will hear of. And again, this is called a D&E abortion. All of these types of abortions, at the end of it, within the days prior, will look similarly to a period where there'll be bleeding, cramping, nausea. That's all very normal, but it is a result of the abortions. Now that we have kind of gone over the procedures, we can start to talk about the different laws that are in place in America that makes it a little bit more difficult for women to receive these abortions. As you might know already, an abortion lasts about 40 weeks. So it's a 40-week time period usually. That's pretty standard. That's important to know. It is also important to know that women usually don't find out they're pregnant until about 4 to 7 weeks of already being pregnant. And so there are laws in our place. So here in Nevada, our abortion laws are that you can receive an abortion up until about 24 weeks of pregnancy. And Nevada says that it is unsafe for a woman to get an abortion afterwards, so that's why they have their laws in place for that. My previous home of Oklahoma, they actually are just now changing their abortion laws and banning them actually all together. So you are not able to receive an abortion in Oklahoma. So that's kind of the complete opposite of the spectrum. And there's lots of states, like similar to Texas, where you can't receive an abortion past 6 weeks of pregnancy, which we know now from the procedures that is a very rare occurrence of even knowing that you're pregnant that soon. So that can result in a lot of women being difficult to receive their abortions because it's hard to know whenever you're pregnant that early. So with that being said, all across the states there are different laws that are in place. Some you can't get abortions at all. They have different week stamps. Sometimes you have to get counseling to be able to get abortions. And some states, if they hear the heartbeat, then you're unable to get an abortion. So it really depends on where you're living, but this can be very tricky for women because you have to know the laws of your state to be able to receive this procedure. It can be a very detrimental experience for them, and they might have to travel over state lines, fly places to get receive this treatment. So it can be very difficult. So that's important to understand. Lastly, the last topic I want to go over is the long-term effects mentally and physically that an abortion can cause in women. Usually, these are very rare, but it's important to cover. So physicality-wise, for a woman that has received a lot of abortions over their time period, over their lifespan, I should say, they, if they would like to become pregnant and last through a full term, that could be really rare. If women are looking to be pregnant after having lots of abortions in the past, they might actually end up having an early term pregnancy. They could have their baby between 28 weeks or even earlier. That is something that you see, but again, in women that have had lots and lots of abortions over their lifespan. Another common thing that you'll see in abortions, if they were not done correctly, done in an unsafe environment, things like that, they can reduce in uncontrollable bleeding, infections that aren't being caused, and that can actually lead to infertility. Again, this is a very rare occurrence, but it's still something that could happen. Mentally wise, this again can vary from person to person, but it could cause, some people can experience PTSD, either from the experience themselves or interactions that they encountered throughout the experience of getting an abortion. It can lead to depression or anxiety. These are all things, again, that vary person to person, but it is very important to understand that people can go through this, and it is an effect that can be caused from an abortion. If this is a topic that interests you as much as it did me, I very much recommend the book, The Turnaway Study, written by Diane Green Foster. She has a PhD. It is a really amazing book that covers 1,000 women over the course of 10 years, whether or not they were able to receive an abortion or if they were denied an abortion. It's a great book, and I think it shines a light on what we really see as a black and white subject. It really gives life to this subject. So, in conclusion, 3 really important factors to understanding the depth and complexity of an abortion are understanding what exactly it is, the different laws in place for or against it in America, and what the long-term effects mentally and physically that they can cause on a woman. So thank you so much.
My turn.
Here is my audience.
That was my turn.
Thank you so much.